Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? One of the things that I want to talk about, Brian, because I think this happens so frequently, is that people don't start these things because of fear of failure. And what I'm wondering here is, especially when coupled with from your own experience and having trauma and working through that and getting to this place in your life, how does one really start to step in through the fear of this entire process in consideration of a lot of times we carry a lot of darkness with us?
I've two trains of thought on that. The first is probably one of the biggest mindset conceptions that I had for a massive chunk of my life. And that was seeing failure as a bad thing and seeing failure as an end product. Failure isn't a bad thing. Failure is feedback. It's feedback on what's not working. It's feedback on where you need to make changes. It's feedback on what you are doing right now for some reason isn't in line with where you want to go, and you use that feedback to make changes to make your life better. If that's food related, training related, mindset related, trauma related, you use it as feedback. My biggest mistake with failure, and I also, a misconception I held, I'm not sure if you had this as well, Michael, was I would attach to the label failure and didn't realize that failure was a thing that happened. I put my self-worth and my attachment of self to failure. So my language for that was, I'm a fucking failure. If I did something that wasn't to my expectation, I'm like, I'm a fucking failure. I did it again. Not realizing that failure is this external thing that happens based on the actions you've taken, and it's not who you are. And I had to disconnect and disassociate from those two things and realize that it's just failure is this thing that happens as a result of some of the actions that I've taken. So once I was able to separate that, which isn't applicable for everybody, but it was for me, then it was about realizing that failure is actually really helpful. And as an entrepreneur, this failure is feedback. You can make changes based on failure. Every failed relationship, every failed business adventure. It took me 3 attempts to get my business off the ground. I made 3 attempts, Michael, before I eventually got it off the ground because I kept fucking up. I kept making stupid mistakes. Like one of the things I did, which was, when I look back in hindsight, in 2012, I was working as a teacher, an elementary school teacher during the day and a personal trainer at nighttime. And when I tried to make that transition over to make a full as a personal trainer, I rented out a gym, I think £670 at the time, on top of my rent. I didn't have a lot of money because you don't make a lot of money as an elementary school teacher in London. And I had no clients. I went and got a branded kit. I went and got business cards. I had no fucking clients, not realizing that because I wanted to be a personal trainer. And that for me was down to the ego issue of people being like, well, he's successful. He's a personal trainer. He did the thing he said he was going to do. And I just wanted to look the part. And as a result, I fucking got broke. Like I had to, the only time in my entire life, Michael, I know we've had different experiences. Again, first world problem on my side, that it was the only time in my life when my bank account was zero. I was a broke college student, didn't have loads of money growing up, didn't have loads of money as a teacher, but I always had something in my account. But that was the time it went to zero, and I had to go down the back of my couch in London to look for pennies so that I could get the bus to go to the bank so I could take out a loan to pay my rent that month. And that was failure. But now, 10 years later, that's feedback. I tell so many trainers that I work with and coaches that I work with, don't make that mistake. Don't pay those dumb taxes. Don't focus on shit that doesn't move your business forward. Focus on getting clients and helping people, and things will grow that way. So that's one example of failure as feedback. And I think when you start to see it that way, you change your relationship with it. When you change your relationship with failure, it opens up a lot of doors that previously remained closed to you. And then when it comes to the darkness, I've changed my opinion on this in recent years because I've always been a subscriber, or had for a long period of time been a subscriber of the Jungian philosophy that your roots need to go down to hell if you want your branches to reach up to heaven. And I feeding that dark side. Like, it's not a coincidence that I was able to make myself sick with leg workouts before a bodybuilding show. It's not a coincidence that I was able to run 6 back-to-back marathons in the Sahara or run through the Arctic. In the Arctic, I tore my Achilles 86 kilometers from the end, and I ran the last 86 kilometers. I use the term ran loosely. I moved to 86 kilometers on a torn Achilles. Like, that's darkness driving that. You know, for me, that's all the soul, the dark side of it that's driving that. But it can be useful. For a large period of my life, it was helpful for me. It got me through those workouts. It got me through those races. It got me through times when times got tough. But I also don't want to fucking live in that day to day. I don't want to be walking around playing with my daughter and playing Elsa and Anna and playing Frozen and dolls and being like having this fucking darkness over me. I want to make sure that's a tool that I have and a part of my personality I can check in with if I need it when times get tough, because I quite like it. Don't get me wrong. It's, you know, the incredible, it's nice to have, because that darkness can fuel you. You're thinking about the traumatic experiences as a kid. You're thinking about the people who bet the shit out of you. You're thinking about all the things that happened, and that shit fuels you. That's fucking fire. But fire, like anything, can light up your house or it can burn the fucking thing down. So you need to be very mindful of how your relationship is with it. And that's how I look about the darkness. It's something that I want and probably don't want to let go of just yet, because it's supportive, but I also don't want it steering my car. I don't want it being in the front seat. It gets put back into the back until I need it, or into the fucking boot, or into the trunk until I need it. And then when times get tough, I can draw it and I can use it, and it helps me. And again, I'm not sure how helpful that is for people, but it's something that's massively supported me and has been one of my methods for dealing with some of my issues, some of my traumas, some of the things that have happened to me in a positive way.